I got fired on the 10th of February 2015, and it sucked for a lot of reasons. It was from the first job that I ever really felt good at. The only problem was that it was for a startup company, and startups are unstable. So one Tuesday morning, my boss called me down to his office where he told me that they appreciated everything I had done, but that I was no longer necessary. It was devastating and it was humiliating, but there were other problems too. I had just moved into a nice new apartment with my girlfriend, and without me earning a wage, we wouldn't be able to make rents, and so I had to make a really shitty decision. I went back to one of those older jobs that you swear you're never going to go back to. It wasn't all bad, at least at the start. I had friends there who I cared about a lot, but over time, one by one, they all left to pursue their own goals, until it was pretty much just me. And slowly, my days started to devolve into this weird, amorphous stretch of time where everything just started to feel the same. Every day crawled along at the same mundane pace. Every evening just felt like a holding period for the next morning to start. And after long enough, things just stopped mattering. Nothing meant anything anymore. And the hardest part was that I could never really see that changing. This was the rest of my life. This was just what I was now. Aggretsuko, short for Aggressive Retsuko, is the latest hit character from the Japanese merchandising company Sanrio. And Sanrio have, in their 40 plus years of existence, created over 400 different characters. From the massively popular Hello Kitty to the slightly less popular this fucking thing. The company was started in 1974 under the ethos of small gift, big smile, where characters like Hello Kitty were printed on a variety of stationery in order to make it feel more cute and childlike. But the endearing quality of these items found unexpected success in an unintended adult audience. And a major reason for this was that Japan's economy at the time was running on the blood of young adult office workers, with excessive amounts of overtime demanded and intense social pressure to conform. And so Sanrio characters were the perfect escape from this brutal life of adulthood. A window into a simpler, more innocent reality where problems just didn't exist. Stress, exhaustion, financial hardship, none of it touched the world of Sanrio, and that's both what made these characters so appealing, as well as what makes Aggretsuko so unusual. While Sanrio have created characters that express negative emotion before, like Gudetama, the manically depressed egg designed to embody the youth of Japan's diminishing self-esteem and growing unhappiness, none have ever been an expression of a direct societal woe like Aggretsuko, whom, according to her designer Yeti, was created when I observed office workers who were at the center of Japan's corporate culture, and I could hear their heartfelt screams. Aggretsuko is a character designed to suffer. She's trapped in a job she hates, surrounded by people she can't stand. And this is the focus of both her original 100-episode run of animated shorts, as well as her 10-episode Netflix original series that released earlier this year. And even from the first moments of the first episode, Aggretsuko's depiction of working life is savage. As our young, rosy-cheeked red panda protagonist hurries excitedly towards her new job, only then to, in what has to be one of the most devastating cuts in the history of anime, we immediately jump forward 5 full years to see Aggretsuko awaken in a stupor of empty bento boxes and drained beer cans. She's 25, she's single, and she's working at the same entry-level position she started at. And what I love about this cut is how clearly it sets the tone for the rest of the show. This is not the story of a young woman's heroic rise to the top of the corporate ladder. This is just life, and a mundane one. Every moment of Aggretsuko feels like it's been plucked from direct experience. From the smothering, overcrowded train journeys to navigating the murky waters of office politics, to just wondering how much it all actually matters. What's so unusual about this setup is that it feels like the very same mundane existence that her fellow Sanrio characters are designed as an escape from, Retsuko has to actively endure, and it's eating away at her. Trapped in this nightmare of repetitive daily routines and abusive bosses. But distinguishing her even further, Retsuko also expresses that emotion, taking the pent-up anguish and rage that's built up over the course of the day and letting it explode in the confines of an empty karaoke booth in fiery ballads of death metal as she screams and wails her pain away. And this fundamentally changes what Aggretsuko is. Most Sanrio characters are mascots. They are designed to convey a single, simple concept, whereas Retsuko has two sides to her. The outward demure, beaten down office worker and the internal raging metal queen, meaning Aggretsuko feels less like a mascot and more like an actual person. There's an underlying duality to Retsuko, and a big part of what makes the show work is that every character is like this. There's a depth to each one that isn't always immediately apparent, and despite the fact that the episodes only run for about 15 minutes, the characterization is so strong that they all end up feeling like people. Take for example Tsunoda, and Tsunoda is an asshole. She spends her time massaging the ego of her boss Mr. Tone in order to stay ahead in the workplace politics, much to the ire of Retsuko and the rest of the office. And it's so easy to hate her because you've probably worked with her. But it's only later, when out for dinner with Retsuko, that Tsunoda reveals that she's aware and comfortable with what she's doing, and that she also knows that people despise her for it. But for her, it's the only way she can get ahead while working under a chauvinistic boss like Mr. Tone. And what's really cool is that this scene doesn't absolve her. She's still a tiny, passive-aggressive dear asshole, but it pulls back the curtains on who she is and how she operates. There's a logic and a reason to why she does what she does, and it's not something she's going to let other people's disdain get in the way of. And it makes you realize that every character in Aggretsuko is like this. They're all trapped in this brutal office existence and have all developed their own strategies for coping with it. And that's an existence I'm guessing that most people can relate to. Despite the fact that Aggretsuko is a cute-looking Sanrio show, it depicts the realities of day-to-day adult life, and that's a reality that is particularly pronounced in Japan, where being an adult is seen less in achieving financial independence, and more so your ability to integrate into a system and cooperate with others, creating a culture of excessive work hours, with 23% of Japanese workers working more than 80 hours overtime a month, resulting in an epidemic of declining physical and mental health, which has led to a spread of what's become known as karoshi, or death by overwork, a problem so bad that they had to make a name for it. And depressingly, that's not a problem distinct to Japan. According to recent statistics, American families are working more hours and earning comparatively less money than they ever have in history. And furthermore, it's not a problem that distinguishes by education or skill. The vast majority of the adult population is working for more than they should for less than they're worth. And it's so easy to get lost in that. It's so easy to lose yourself in what you do. Whether you're flipping burgers in a restaurant, punching numbers in an office, or making an endless stream of YouTube videos for an audience that has grown so far past anything you ever perceived that uploading a video now terrifies you to the core of your being, and you spend every waking hour thinking and worrying about it, all the while knowing that you only make videos about other people's work because you're too much of a coward to ever commit to anything that's really your own. God, sorry, let's get back on track. My point here is that everyone goes through this. Everyone at some point faces the same daily hell that Retsuko does. And it's easy to feel useless. It's easy to feel like there's no meaning to it. And it's weird, and it's hard, and it's scary. But it's here where I think Aggretsuko does something really special. Retsuko starts off this series as an unhappy office worker, and she ends it as an unhappy office worker. But what changes is her. Retsuko is constantly looking to other people as a way to escape the unhappiness of her daily life. Whether it's in joining her friend's startup that is never going to go anywhere, or becoming a housewife to a life partner who ultimately just does not get her. But eventually, she comes to understand that she can't look to other people for an easy way out. She can't adopt a way of life that isn't her. And rather than suppressing her emotion and what makes her unique, she's better off embracing it and using that to make her own way out of unhappiness. And that really hit home with me a lot. I did end up leaving that job I hated for one that, all things considered, I'm still pretty into. But while I was still there, I never had a revelationary moment. I never stomped into my boss's office and screamed my resignation. Rather, I just slowly came to a group of small realizations that gradually came together and helped me understand what I was and what I wanted to be. And that's what I see when I watch Aggretsuko, a person trapped in a situation they don't want to be in, who's slowly getting their shit together and using that to guide them into a better life. And I think that's the strength of this show. It takes the most human and relatable fear of modern day society, the feeling of being trapped in an existence that you're not happy in, something that can be really scary and make you feel like less of a person. And it expresses it in this cute, funny little show that makes it feel just a little less horrifying, and tells us that despite how easy it is to get lost, despite how easy it is to feel like there's no meaning to it, we can determine our own meaning. That separate from society's standards, we should decide what we are and what we want. And there was a time in my life that I really could have done with hearing that. And I think that's awesome. I think that's a message that people need. Friends, thank you for checking out this video. I really hope you got something out of it. I have some news, and that is I'm going to be a special guest at this year's Anime Expo from July 5th to July 8th. And I'll be doing a panel and some signings, and it's always awesome and weird to meet people who actually watch my videos, so if you're there, don't be shy and say hi. Massive thank you to the Wolfpack over on Patreon, and if you'd like to join their ranks, you can do so for no more than $1 over at patreon.com/super_eyepatchwolf. Special shoutouts this week to Marbled Ranger, Ed Menak, ZY Midriver, Tama Wavesign, Vile Fishery, The Mighty Rumble, Lucy or Brantley, and I Think Books Are Neat. Or if you want to hear me get torn apart for 2 hours, the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast is usually good for that. Or you can find me on Twitter at eyepatchwolf. Friends, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.